Yes, so this is going to be today's agenda. We will be just recapping what we did in the last session, which was installing the StudioX. And then we will see what is user interface automation. We will see what are the activities in the StudioX that helps you to automate your day-to-day task that involves UI interaction. And then since UI automation enables you to automate two types of applications, which is web as well as desktop. So we will see a demo for both of these applications, and then we will have a quick Q&A at the end of the session where you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Then Christina will help you with the academy follow-up and the links that you can follow for your further learning. So yeah, let's start with the first agenda, which is installing process verification for the UiPath StudioX. So in the session one, we actually installed StudioX where Afe actually helped and showed you all these steps. So we are just taking a quick recap of that. If you have already done it, it's well and good. If you're stuck anywhere, maybe this slide can actually help you out. So the steps that we followed were you have to go to UiPath Automation Cloud account. You have to create the account there and then sign up for the UiPath Automation Cloud community. Once you are done signing in, there will be an option to download the UiPath Studio file. There is no specific file to install the UiPath Studio X. There's a single file. So don't get confused. And once you download it and you start installing, all the plugins and all the extensions would be by default installed with the installer. And once you are done with the installation, there will be an option to switch between the profiles, which is Studio and Studio X. So make sure that you always choose Studio X, because as I mentioned, the installer file is same for both the profiles. Studio is for the advanced developers, while the Studio X is for the citizen developers, and the agenda of this particular session is for the citizen developers. So do not make mistake here. Choose the Studio X, and then once you choose it, you will be land up at the homepage of the Studio X screen. Right. So these are the steps that you have to follow while doing the installation. It is pretty quick and straightforward. So I hope you would not have faced any issues. If not, you can also ping your queries in the forum thread that Christina will be giving you. And so with that, now let's start with the today's session, which is the user interface automation, right? So we are now hearing this term user interface. So let's just quickly see what this term actually means and what is UI automation. So a user interface is a series of screens, pages, and visual elements like buttons, input fields that enables you to interact with an application, right? So it's very straightforward statement that helps you to understand that user interface is nothing but the combination of all the buttons, all the input field, or the text fields that you see on the screen that helps you to interact with any of the applications, right? For example, your Gmail account. How do you interact with a Gmail account? You have those sign in options, right? You go to a Chrome or any other browser, then you open a page, and then you have two text fields, your username and password. Then you have a button which is called as sign in. So these fields that you see on the screen are helping you to interact with your Gmail account. So those becomes a part of the UI interface for you, right? Now, what is UI automation then? So UI automation is the process of simulating mouse and keyboard actions on windows and controls. So as you can see in this small GIF as well, right? You can assume this as a Ricky, right? So Ricky is actually doing the UI related work in his day-to-day life, right? He's interacting with lots of applications through the mouse clicks and the keyboard typing, right? Which we do in day-to-day life a lot, right? So these can be easily simulated by the software robots or the RPA tools, right? So this is what the UI automation is all about. You are just giving your work that you are doing with the mouse and the keyboards to your robot, right? And as a business user, you interact with a lot of different applications like, again, internet browser, calculator. So how do you interact with the calculator? You have those buttons 1, 2, 3, 4. You press them, and then you see on the screen that the button is displayed, right? That's all about user interface. Or any of the CRM applications you may be interacting with SAP application, Oracle applications, maybe in your day-to-day life, right? So these all comes under the UI automations. And now let's see how you can automate some of these interactions that you could be doing in your task for day to day, right? uh, so let's jump into and see how Studio X helps you to automate these actions with the help of activities that it gives you. So now you can see all interactions with UI can be split into two categories. One is input and the other one is the output category, right? So before we actually start and looking at what are the different set of categories, activities in StudioX are the building blocks that helps you to create your whole automation. So something that you are doing manually, they have a corresponding activity in the StudioX. So if you want to type, you are typing something manually, then StudioX, you have an activity known as type into that helps you to simulate that particular action, right? So activities are nothing but just the building blocks that helps you to create your whole automation. So when coming to the UI automation, they can be further classified into two: input and output, which we can easily see on the screen that input comes into the category when you are sending or adding something to the application, right? For example, click, you are clicking on a button, you are sending an instruction to the application. Then again, type into, you are sending your data into the application, your first name, your last name. Select item from the drop down, you are choosing any month from the drop down list, right? Check, uncheck. So these are the actions that you are actually performing as an input. You are sending these instructions into the application. And the second category is called as the output. Output is the category where you're actually reading the information from the UI elements. For example, get text. You are reading the current stock price from the application, from the web page. So you are actually reading out from the UI element. That becomes your output category. Get URL, you are reading a URL of your current web page that you are landed on. Get active window, you wants to know which is your current active window you are currently working on. Or extract data table, if you want to extract the whole tabular data from the web page or any other application. So it means you are reading from the application, you are getting something from the application. So these are the two set of categories when it comes to the UI automation. So now you can remember whenever you are automating, right? If you are manually, say, typing, so it means you have to pick the action or the activity from the input category, right? And the name are very much similar to what we actually call it in the day to day life, so the activities can be easily found then. Also, as you can see on the another screenshot, we have something called as resources and the activities, right? So resources are those activities that help you to connect with the application first, right? So before you start automating any application, your automation has to first connect and authenticate with the application. For that, we use these resources. So whenever you are doing the UI automation, you have to use the resource called as use application browser. So again, the name is pretty much obvious that if you are trying to connect with a web page or with a browser, the resource that you're going to use is use application browser. Now once you are connected with the application, you want to again perform some activities or some actions. For that, you have the activities under the category app and web automation, which again you can see it on the screen. And then all the activities has been placed here, which is click, check, uncheck, which we were actually discussing right here, right? So the resources helps you to connect with the application, and when you're connected with the application, these further helps you to perform those actions, right? So yeah, now since we know what is UI automation, we can do web automation and the desktop application automation using that particular category. What are the activities in the StudioX that helps you to do that? Now let's do a one hands-on exercise, and I would like all of you to open the StudioX on your screen and start doing all of these steps along with me. So I'll also open the StudioX. So yes, you can go to your Windows and open the tool. Okay. So whenever you are done with this step, please write done or yes in the chat window so that I come to know that I can now follow the next step. Okay. So now one thing that we have to make sure whenever we are doing the web automation. So this particular example is what we are starting with a web automation. We are going to automate the actions on a website or on a web page, right? So for that, we always need the extensions to be enabled. And for that, you need to go to tools and UiPath extensions. So make sure the browser that you are using have already that particular extension installed. So I'll be using Chrome and I already have installed the extension. Similarly, Firefox, if you're using Edge, these are already installed when you do the installation of StudioX. But in case it was not done already for you, you can simply click on the install button that you can see like this, and it will automatically installed, right? So I hope this is ready. And few things that we have to make sure is, let me show you. Okay, so this is the website that we are going to automate. This something looks like a form that we fill online usually, right? So we will see how we can quickly do this with the automation, but let me show you the extension thing. If you go here, and if you go to the more tools, and if you go to extensions, this I'm showing you for the Chrome. The steps could vary for the other browsers, but that's how you have to make sure that the extension is properly installed. If you go to extensions, you can see UI web automation and make sure this is on the enable side. This means disabled. You won't be able to automate a web page if it is the case. So make sure this is toggled to the enabled side. Similarly, the developer mode, it is not on the off. This is at the on side. So make sure you check these two options before you start automating any web page. So since we are done and we have the check ready, we will go back to the StudioX, go to the start page, and let's just create a new blank task. So click on new and choose blank task and name it as my first UI automation or any name that you want to give. This is the location where your files, all your project files will be stored. And you can also mention the description and click on the create button. So this may take a while for some of the people if based on your laptop or your system configurations. Meanwhile, this is getting created. Let's jump onto the web page and let's see what we are trying to do here. So now this is something that looks like a regular input form that we fill up, right? If you're doing a employee onboarding, if you're doing any form submissions online, you would be encountering these kind of fields where you have some input fields to fill in and a submit button to click, right? So this is a very basic UI automation. The major challenge here, if you see, or the twist here is you see that all these fields that you can see right now are going to change the place every time the new you refresh the page, I would say. So this has been created, but yeah, let's just go back and see where we were. Now, if I refresh this, you can see the fields would be changing the positions. The last name is now changed to role in the company, and the last name has come up now. If I refresh it again, now again the fields positions have been changed. So as a human, I can actually see, right, that these positions are changing. But can my robot actually help me to identify these changes in the fields and still work on such applications? So yeah, that's the interesting part of this, and this is what we are going to do. I guess, okay, the link is in the description or in the chat window, so that's perfect. Please open this web page because this is what we are going to automate, which is rpachallenge.com. And I also hope that you are ready with your workspace. Okay, I can see done and ready in the windows. Okay. So now let's quickly look at the UI of this StudioX first. So if you go, you have a home tab, which takes you here. And then you have a design tab, which actually helps you to design your automation, your current automation. We will be looking at few of the features today, and few of the features you will be seeing in the later part of the sessions. Now, we were talking about the resources and the activities, right? So this is called as activities panel, which you see right here. So all the activities are accessible here, and resources is what you find here. And if you expand this, and these are the activities that we have to use. Right? This is the output panel. So whatever you are typing or you are writing into the StudioX, this is what you can see in the output panel. And again, these will is what we will be looking at in today's session, properties. These two will be skipping as part of the today's session again, because this is going to be a very basic one. So I hope the RPA challenge is open. And now let's start connecting with the application first. So as we know, the first step to use application browser resource. So I'll simply drag it into the designer panel. So you can see use application browser resources right here, and it says indicate application to automate. I'll simply do a left mouse click, and then when I hover over this, you can see a green window appearing. You will see, or you may not see, this particular notification UiPath web automation started debugging this browser. This is because the extension is enabled. So don't worry about this. If you see this green screen, just do a left mouse click. And once you're done, you can see the browser URL has been taken and the screenshot is available right here, right? And if you go to the properties of these activities, this is what you find all the information right here. What is the URL, or what is the screenshots, what is the timeout of these. So these are little advanced, so we will skip in this session. We'll keep it very basic. So I hope you have used this activity in your designer panel. If yes, please write done. Okay, let me repeat the step again. I'll delete this, and in the resource section, use application browser resource. Do a left mouse click and drag it to your designer panel where the plus button you can see. Once it is done, if you do not see the left bar, it may appear like this, right? So just click on this bar and pin it, and it should be available for you, right? And then when I click on indicate and I come back to the web page, and I see a green screen which says click to select the browser. I select the screen and it identifies and connect me to that page, right? Now, since this is done, now we have connected with this page, and now let's start putting all of these information that we were doing manually, and let's automate these steps. So for example, I was writing these information manually here, right? But now I want the bot to take care of all of these steps. So let's start with putting the address. And just a guess, what do you think could be the activity name when I want to type something into a field? Any guess? Yeah, that's pretty smart. Yes, so if I come to the app and web automation and I see a type into right here, I do a drag inside the use application browser. One thing that we have to take care is we should not move it outside the scope of this use in browser activity. The reason is you will see this error. This activity must be included in a use application browser activity. it means it cannot be used outside this resource, because you want to type but you are not mentioning where to type, right? So where do you want to type? You want to type in this web page, so make sure you always bring it inside this scope. Done. I hope you have used this type into activity now. Okay, I can see few readies. Now again, if you go into type into activity, it says indicate in Chrome, right? So what we have to do, again, same thing that we were doing, a left mouse click, and we show it uh, to the web page where we want to type, and then you can see this green box is appearing. So this is to indicate where do you want to type. So you can move your mouse and indicate where you want to type that particular field. So once you do a left mouse click, the StudioX will take care of identifying this element, and it will give you an anchor as well. So what is the anchor? Anchor helps you to identify a particular field uniquely. For example, you can see there are so many input fields present blank, right? How would you know that you have to type the address in this particular blank space only? It is because it is next to the address text. That's how even a human is judging. How would I come to know that I have to type my first name right here? Because there is a first name written. That's how even we are directing our robot, that you have to type the address here and make sure that it is next to the address text. So this is what is the function of the anchor here, right? So once you see this green and blue thing done, click on the confirm, which is right here. So once you do confirm, you can see it has captured the screenshot of your element where you were supposed to type, and it has been now added in your workflow. I hope you have again spied this particular field. Yes, we can use this for any website. It is not only limited to rpachallenge.com. If you are automating any website that you are opening in a web browser, so you can automate it easily with the StudioX, so no worries. Okay, now we will see type this element is here, which is used to mention what you want to type. So let's type the address, click on this plus button, and you see this text option. Click on this and further mention your address. Okay, I'm still doing the done. So this is the value that you want to type in that field, is what you have to mention in the type this field. Okay, now there are two things that you can see. One is called as secure and one is called as standard. When you go to secure, it means if you want to type a password into your application, it means it will type it as a star star star, and you will not be able to see what the robot is typing. So this is to make sure of the confidentiality if you are automating any application that requires you to type the password. So we'll switch back to the standard. Again, while you are automating and you want to share your automation with your colleagues, and but you do not want to show what you have actually typed, so you can always click on this password mode. So no one can actually see what I was supposed to type, and if I still share this workflow, they can't see. They can still see by clicking on this, but yeah, that's just another way to making sure that it is not visible while you are actually showing it to the people. So we'll come back to the visible mode. Now, this is the first thing that we did. We have automated the steps that we were doing in the address field. Now we have to repeat the same steps for all of these fields. So let's start doing it. You can either look at the screen how I'm doing, or you can also follow the same step that we did right here. We are going to use the type into activity for all of these fields. So let's start doing it for all of them. Drag it just after the type into, and make sure it is always within the use application browser. There are a few options that may not be visible for you because I am on the latest version of UiPath Studio X. So if you want, you can upgrade it if you're using the community version. If not, that should not be an issue, because again, there are certain other ways to make sure that you are entering the password and all. So now let's start doing the same thing for the other fields, and you can always mention yes or done in the chat field so that I can come to know you are following along and you are able to follow me. So next thing I'll be typing is the phone number. This is my green box to identify where I want to type, and this is to decide what is the anchor, and I click on confirm button. I will click on the plus button and click on text and mention my phone number, not definitely the actual one. And then again, the type into. And now let's come to the email. This is where I want to type. And this is to identify the field. And I'm clicking on the confirm again. And I'll click on the plus button and say text and mention the email, any dummy email. And I'll click on the save button again. This is the another type into, and now the role in the company, and this is the anchor, and confirm again the plus button, the text, say RPA trainer. Okay, and now one more. So we are doing it in a sequential way, how we want to type, right? In the same sequence we are putting these activities. And then we have the company name, and this is the anchor, plus text, your company name, press save, another type into, indicate the first name, this is the anchor, confirm, plus text, the name, and save. Again, another type into, again indicate the last name, the anchor, and confirm. And again plus button, the text, and the value that I want to type, and again a save button. So I hope you guys have done for few of the fields till now. If you're not able to automate, or if you're not able to identify or create activities for all of those fields in this time, um, but no worries, if you've done with the 3 to 4 fields also, that should be fine. I can see so many done and readies. I'm so happy that there's such a proactive audience here. Now, since we are done with typing, now the last step is to actually, there is one more button called as submit. So we have to actually click on this button. So now I want you to guess the name of the activity that we are going to use when we want to click on the submit button. Meanwhile, I'll just scroll up, and yes, we do have the activity name called as click. And now let's indicate what is the button. Here is the button, which is under the green uh, rectangular box. There is no anchor because it's just a single button in the whole screen, so you may not need the anchor. So that's why there is no anchor that you will see for the submit button, and you click on confirm. and you have to change nothing else. Your automation is ready with these steps. So what you have done is, let's see a quick recap. We used a resource called as use application browser, this one, to connect with the web page first and take the URL which we're trying to automate. So whenever you run this automation, it will automatically open this web page and come to this page. The next thing is we are typing into the certain fields, which is address, phone number, and then email, then role in the company, and the company name, my first name, the last name, and then we are clicking on the submit button. So now imagine if you were doing these for 40 employees that onboarded in your company, and you are repeating these steps, you are reading the data from the Excel and putting it here, and it could be very much repetitive if you're part of the HR team. So this is something to simulate those actions by the automation. And now we are going to press the run button. So if you go to the design panel, you will see a run button right here. And let me refresh the page so that we can see the fields will be changing the positions. Now you can see they have changed, and let's click the run button and see what happens. You can see it is typing, all the actions are being simulated. I am not touching the mouse or the keyboard. It is all being done by the automation. And I can talk to you people, and I can sip a coffee also. So yeah, that's done actually. We have created a very first automation. Let me know in the chat window if you were also able to do it. Perfect. I can see so many success. Let's come back to the presentation. And yes, congratulations on creating your very first robot. These are the steps that we followed. We opened the StudioX, we installed the browser extension because we were doing the web automation. Then we created the workflow and we ran the project, right? So again, congratulations, and you are free. So now with that, since we have the idea of what the StudioX has the capability and what are the activities that we have to use, I hope you paid attention because now we have a Menti quiz for all of you. Christina, over to you.
Okay, can we switch here? Okay, so guys, I will give you the address in the chat. So go to www.menti.com, and I will also give you the code. You can access very easily from mobile too. So this is the code 57539243. Yes. So we will wait for you now to get into the quiz room. Just a bit more. Let us know if anyone has problems accessing the quiz room, but you shouldn't. Like, it's very easy to use. Just pasting the code once you get on www.menti.com. Okay. Yes, but we still have to wait. We can see its dynamic number, so we can see the participants joining here. We're up to 53 now. Just make sure, guys, it will be easier throughout the session not to drop from the quiz room. So if you can keep this tab open so you won't have to join again for the next two questions at the end of the session. Okay, I think we can start the quiz now, since I hope everyone has joined. Okay, good. Let's start. At 55. Okay. So remember, answer fast to get more points. Which of these activities do not belong to the input category of UI interactions? Check, uncheck, get text, type into. So the activities do not belong. It's an exception question. And I gave you plenty of seconds to answer this one. Okay. So it's a bit of a split opinion on this one. But yes, some of you, half of you were correct. Let's see the leaderboard. And who is leading after the first question. But do not worry, as you know, the leaderboard is dynamic, so places will change until the end. For now, we have Isa, he's the fastest. So Isa and Ryan. Okay, let's move to the next question now. So question 2. And again, answer fast if you want to get more points. Which StudioX activity can be used to press a specific item on screen? Click, type into, or magic wand? For those Harry Potter fans, of course. This was easy, as you have just used this in the demo. Of course, it's click, yes. Let's see the leaderboard.
Some persons chose magic wand.
I'm glad someone pressed magic wand. We need firm believers. Okay, so we have still Nugain is in the top 2, Isa moved to the third position, and Uday is up in the second place. Okay, I'm going to switch again now with Nidhi to continue the session. Thank you everyone for participating in the quiz, and do not worry, we have 2 more questions to end this quiz at the end of the session.
Thank you, Christina. Great job, guys. I'm happy you were able to remember the activities. Okay. Now I'm jumping back to the presentation. Okay. Now we are ready with the second demo of today's session. And this is again going to be a web automation, but we are going to see a very interesting feature of StudioX in this demo. Again, for that, I would like you to open the StudioX, and I'm hoping the browser extension is already installed. So this time what we are going to do, we are not going to manually drag and drop the activities into the designer panel. We are also going to record all the steps that we want the bot to perform on our behalf. So there's an interesting feature of the StudioX called as record. So this is what we are going to look into this demo. For that, let's open this URL in all of your browsers. So, or if you simply type rpasamples.com and you choose password generator, you will still land up to the same page. So again, this is just to show you, you can still use these uh, sorry for the pause. So you can still use these demos for your practice purposes. You can see, right, these are the UiPath demo app. So once you're done with learning today's sessions, you can actually explore them. You can see the UiPath has given you such applications to just try your hands on. So these will be, you can say, your after the session homeworks, which you can actually do it, and if you have any questions, you can put it on the forum thread. And but we are going to use the password generator for the second one. So what we want to do is we want to change the password length from 24 to say 12, and we do not want any symbols in the password, right? And we once the password is generated, we want to copy this and display in the message box, right? So these are the steps that we want to do. So for example, again, if you're onboarding 40 employees in your organization and you want to create a strong password for all of them, so you'll be using your brain, what could be the 123, right? The name of the person, then 123, the company name, something, you'll use something very obvious, right? So this actually can help you to generate some random password which are actually strong enough to be used for those employees once they log in into the fast. And certain criterias you want to keep are like the password length is 12, no symbols, and that's how you want to generate on this particular rule, right? So that's what we want to do in this second demo. I hope you have opened the StudioX. I'll delete the previous automation that we did. Select this and just press the delete button. That's all you have to do. Okay, I can see the error on. Please mention HTTPS and then the name of the further URL. So maybe this could be the possible. Yeah, it is opening for me though. Correct. I mean, just make sure you put HTTPS and not HTTP because S makes you more secure. Then you'll be able to open this particular application.
For those of you who got the error, use the last link provided by in chat now, which with HTTPS, and tell us whether you worked through the error or you're still receiving it.
Or yes, the another reason you must be getting this error that it could have been blocked by your organizations, because this is again could not be under their security guidelines. So if you'll be using your personal laptops or computers, you'll be able to open it. Okay, now let jump into this and I'll refresh it. So now I'll go back to UiPath Studio X, and something interesting that I want to show you is this app and web recorder you see right here. So you can see when you hover over to this particular option, the app web recorder uses a unique UI approach for the UI automation. So you can actually record all the steps that you want to perform on the application without actually dragging all the activities into the designer panel. So if you're confused which activity I should use for this particular element, you're not very sure, still the app and web recorder helps you. Or if you're doing creating a sequence with similar activities that we did just now, we used across about 8 type into activities. We were just copy pasting the same activities and we were just doing it, right? And it could be a little more challenging when you have more fields into that page, right? So this is again where the app and web recorder can come into the picture, right? So if you go to the design panel, not on the home, on the design panel, this is where you see this button. So now let's do a left click. And then once you do, you will come back to your web page. And this is what going to pop up on your screen: app, web recorder, and some buttons and the recorded steps, which is currently empty, right? Now you can see these green rectangular box wherever I am trying to capture the elements, right? I can uniquely identify them. It means the recorder is working. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to automate this particular field. So I go and hover over this field and I can see a green rectangular, and then I do a left mouse click. Once I do it, it will automatically identify that it is an input field, right? And it is giving me an option that what I want to type, right? So what do I want to type? Instead of 24, I want to type 12 as the length, correct? And this is empty field means whatever was written earlier, please remove it and then write the value that I want to write. So now this is done, and when you click on the confirm button, this step will be recorded by the StudioX. So if I click confirm, now in the app and web recorder, this particular pop-up, you can see one step has been added, which is type into. So for example, if you are not very sure which activity you have to use to type something in the value, you can simply record your steps and it will automatically create an activity for you. So this is again another trick. Okay, someone has asked me to show it again. Let me quickly go. Okay, so in the designer panel, you have this app and web recorder. Do a left mouse click. Once you do it, you will come up with this app and web recorder pop-up. Now, first thing that we want to do is we want to type this. In this particular text field, we want to type a value. So I'll indicate this rectangular, green rectangular over this field, not anywhere else, wherever I want to do these steps. I do a left mouse click and you do not have to do anything. The StudioX will give you the option, everything. It has identified the anchor and now it wants me to mention the value that I want to type. So I'll say 12. So it by default identify that this is an input field and I want to type something. So it give me an option to enter the value, and when I click on the confirm button, this step will be recorded and will be added in the recorded steps part. Right now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to uncheck this particular checkbox, right? So I'll mention it inside this green rectangular box again, right? And again, I do a left mouse click and it will identify what kind of target it is. So you can see it has recorded the step and the activity has been added as check, uncheck. And the action is uncheck. You can anytime change it that if your step is not recorded properly, you can change it after the you have saved all of those steps. So don't worry about that you can't change them or customize them further. So we actually unchecked it. If you want to check it, you can check or toggle whatever you want to choose, right? So we'll keep it as unchecked. So we have now added 2 steps in the recorded steps. I hope this part is done. You can mention in the chat window if you're done with till this. Okay, I can see few dones are there in the chat. So we'll now continue. The last step that we want to do is we want to copy the password, whatever has been mentioned or generated here, using this particular click. So this is called as copy to clipboard button in this screen. So once you click on this, whatever value you have will be copied to your clipboard, right? So I want to click on this particular UI element. So I take it again under this green rectangular box and I do a left mouse click and a click activity has been added. So it will automatically identify what kind of element it is and what I performed, right? So we do not have to learn the activity names. The recording actually helps you to create very quick automation workflow. And yeah, that's something for beginners and who wants to create their automations quickly. So once all these steps have been recorded, you want to save them and come back to your StudioX. So there is this save and return to studio button, which you see right here, right? I hope it is available for all of you. So just click on this save and return to studio button. And here we go. This is the magic. We have whole workflow ready. We do not have to take care which activity, where to drag, what to type, where to type. It's all done. It has created the whole workflow for you. Now this one we have done it for a very small one, but imagine if you are really dealing with a big web page, then it could be really handy and helpful for you. So I hope till this point All of you have finished the recording steps. Now, the last thing that we want to do is we want to see if the password that was copied from the screen is correct is not. For that, we will just use an activity that will display the value in a message box. So we have an activity called as message box. So you can go to the activities panel. In the search part, just type message box and you will see this activity. Take it and drag it after the click, right? And when you are done with this, click on the plus button and then say paste from clipboard option, right? So whatever has been copied to your clipboard, once you clicked on that click button, now is available for you in the StudioX to paste. So there is an option to paste from the clipboard and we press this. And we will see the password that we generated in a message box now. So we have recorded all the steps and the workflow is ready. Let me go back and refresh this page so that it reset all the values. And now we are going to run it. So I simply press the run button from the design panel. It would update the value, uncheck, copy, and display. Display is on the another screen, so I'll drag it here. You can see this is exactly what has been copied, right? So yeah, that's the another feature of UiPath Studio X that you can use as part of the UI automation, right? This app and web recorder is really very helpful for all the beginners, or if you want to automate or create the automations even faster. So that's all about the web automation. We have seen, like, for various websites, it's not limited to what I've shown you. Even if you're using your company websites, you can still use the UI automation in StudioX. Now let me come back to the presentation. Perfect. So if you have any doubts, even after you could not follow with me, or if you're doing after this, you can post your queries on the forum thread, which Christina will be giving you and will be helping you even after the session. So no worries. And now let's quickly jump to the other part of the UI automation, which says what more can be automated with UI, which is a desktop application. So something that we have seen till now is what we were accessing through a web browser. We were either going to Chrome, Edge, Firefox, then we were actually communicating with that application and automating it. And for that, we need a browser extension. What if there is an application installed on your machine and you can access it from your desktop? Can you automate it using the UI automation? The answer is yes, you can do it using the UI automation. So we are going to see a very quick and simple example. This may not be a hands-on session. I will just show you how you can actually interact with the desktop-based applications, because most of the CRM-based applications, as I again said, could be a desktop one for you, right? And one more question that comes to everyone's mind is, can I automate Microsoft Excel, Word, PPT using the UI automation? Because even they are installed on your machine and you are accessing them as a desktop applications. So the answer is yes, you can automate them. The other question is it recommended? The answer is no. You should not be automating the Microsoft Office applications using the UI automation, because StudioX already has the bundle of applications. You can see, right? Excel. You can easily communicate with the Excel application through the built-in activities. So you do not have to go to the UI automation and do such things. So it is not at all recommended. Still, you can spy them, right? Similarly for the PowerPoint and Word. So now let's look at a very basic a UI demo for the desktop based application. So this is how any of your applications may be installed on your machine. You just simply double click and it opens, right? Just like your calculator. So if I double click it, this is how it opens. This is a dummy application from the UiPath just for the learning purpose. Even this will be given to you in the practice exercise which Christina will be sharing. So if you do not have access to this application, you can also have it after the session. So now let's see how we can interact with the desktop applications also. So for this, let me just delete it. And again, so any guesses what is the first step is going to be when I'm trying to connect with this application? The very first activity that I would have to use. Yes, it's use application browser. That's correct. So it will help me to connect with the application first. So I'll drag it here and indicate, and it will identify. You can see a green, this rectangular box is coming. I'll do a left mouse click, and now you can see the application path where it was installed in my system, and a screenshot has been captured. So you can see the steps are completely same what we were doing in the web. The steps what you have to follow are exactly same, and the activities that you have to use is also same. So for example, if you want to type a cache in this, and you want to click on this use cache count, and then you want to read the transaction number. So let's try to do some of these steps. I'll use a type into activity and drag it inside again the use application browser. So now before that, let me give you a brief idea of what this match exact title is. So for example, if you have applications which have multiple instances open, for example, WI, and you have one more instance of this application open, but you want to only automate a page with the exact name of the title, which is WI. So you can say match exact title. But if you are okay that in some of the applications you may also see the timestamp is coming, for example, WI 4th of August 2022, and if you come again it would be 5th of August 2022. You do not want your automation to fail at that time because the timestamp is changing. So do not choose match exact title here, right? So this is just a little trick if you want, if you are dealing with little of the dynamic title of the application. So now when I say type into, I'll say indicate, and I go to this, I want to type here, and this is the anchor that we have. I'll choose it and I click on the confirm button. Done. Any number I can type, press save, then say I want to do a simple click here, and let's click on this use cache count. Done. So let's see what happens if I do these steps manually, right? And say I want accept to be clicked further so that it empties all the field. And I want to read this transaction number because it is always unique every time, which you see, right? Now, if I do this, the transaction number is incremented. It is now 701. And if I do it again, it is 702. So if you want to read now from the application, what is the activity that you have to use? So there's something called as get text activity. So as I said in the initial part of the session, that we have two categories. One is to input or send control. The second part of the activities is to read from the application, right? So you can see get URL, get username, get text, get attribute, get active window. These are some of the output sort of activities. You are reading something from the application. So since we are just reading a text, we'll use a get text activity. I'll drag it after the click and I'll indicate what I want to read. I want to read this particular number, which is next to transaction number, right? So this is my anchor and I click on the confirm button. So now once you have read the activity, where do you want to save it? let's save it somewhere in your workflow. So I click on the plus button and say create a variable. So this is just to create a small space in your automation workflow so that it will remember what you read from the application and you can use it in your automations further. So you can say the value is transaction number. So whatever you have read from this screen is now saved in this particular value in the automation. So if you want to use that number anywhere, now you can use this name. So once we have read the transaction number, we want to display it, for example, right? So again, I'll use the message box activity quickly, and I will drag it here. Now this transaction number, what we just now read, is what I want to display. So I'll click on the plus button, and now you can see this use variable option is right here, right? Use variable, and it is giving me all the options for the transaction number to display. I want to display it as a text, as a number, as a number with decimals, as true or false, as date. So all the possibilities with those number is what you have here, right? So I'll just choose transaction number as text, and I'm going to get the number displayed on the message box. And the last step I want to do is I want to click on this accept button. So very obvious activity is click this is the accept button and confirm. So these are the steps I'm right now doing in this particular application. Let me uncheck this. Everything is empty. We have the transaction number as 702 now. So this will fill up the values. Click on the accept button, take the transaction number and display to us, right? So these are the something very basic steps that we may be performing. So I'll just run it and see what happens. And there is a message box which says 702 transaction number. So we have successfully read something again that helps the anchor and the target thing is, because we mentioned that we want to read a number which is next to the transaction number. That's how we could identify it properly. Otherwise, if you have just spied it, it could have read maybe this if you have not defined the anchor. So make sure if you're dealing with similar kind of elements on the screen, you indicate the target and the anchor both. So once I click on OK, it will click on the accept button and it is done. So you can see here, I guess the accept was not clicked, but that's okay. Yeah, so that's how we can actually interact with the desktop applications as well if you are working any of such business applications. So this is just to show the capabilities. Maybe I will simply show you. Okay, so you will be receiving these files at the end of the session. So the RPA challenge is what we saw. So this is how the project files actually look like when you create in the StudioX. So this main file is from where you open any of your projects. So if I close this, right? And if you click on this main file, this will open up your project. So whatever Christina is going to share with you as a project files and you want to open them in your StudioX, main is where you have to click and it will open the solutions that we created in today's session. So if you could not follow along, all the solutions, all these XML files is right here with you. And you have further something that we did just now. This is the application you have. You can use it, install it on your system, and you can use them. And this is the solution that we have developed. Again, the strong password and the find unicorn name is what I want you to do as part of the post session exercise. So this is something even Afe showed you in the first session. If you have not done it yet, you can do it after the session. So let me just show you what you have to do. Again, if you go to RPA samples, you have this unicorn name generator. So this is what you have to do on your own. And if any problems that you face, you can reach out to us. You have to do this, mention your name and mention your month of your when you were born and click on get unicorn name, and you will be getting a unique unicorn name. So this is what you have to get, and this is what you have to now do it as the post session exercise, and you can again post it on the LinkedIn on the forum once you get your unique names, and we'll see what all you have got. So yeah, that's all for today's session about the UI automation. I really hope you enjoyed and you were able to do what I was trying to explain it to you. And now we have the another quiz time.
Okay, thank you, Nidhi. Let's just see first if everyone got the link to the exercise files and they are able to download from it, just to confirm with them.
Sure,
I'm
Christina.
just trying it now from different user accounts. Yes, it works. So it should work for everyone. Please, guys, try the link I gave you for the exercise files. You have it in chat. Access that link and download the zip folder with the exercises. Okay, okay. So make sure you take that link now, because after the session, you will find it on the event link, but take it now since it's more secure. I will be sure to post it on the event link where we post the recording and the presentation as well. You are not able to access and download. Everyone else is able to try from incognito window, maybe. Yes, this is the link. I will share it again. It's a G drive folder. So some of you, perhaps like the same company restrictions, might not be able to access it, but most of you should be able to. And please confirm once you download the zip folder from that link. Okay, thank you, Diana. Okay, Mithun. Okay, Kevin. Good. Okay, so you have access to the exercises in the session today there, and you can keep on practicing. And you will also, I will also give you the link now to the Academy exercises where you can follow after this session. So let's see. We have session 2, run your first automation. I will share a bit my window now. Okay, so this is where you will find the recording, yes, on this event link, where from where you registered. I will copy and paste this in chat as well now. And here you find links to the next 2 sessions for which you should register, session 3 and session 4. Yes, automation for Excel and Word and Outlook and Gmail. And then again, you will find here a link to Academy, building your first automation. Yes, so if you want more exercises, more content, you can go to this Academy link. UiPath Academy, it's entirely free training. If you go to this, you will be able to, okay, build your first automation with StudioX. This is part of the Citizen Developer Foundation class in Academy. So you can also go through this course. Okay, and now we are back at quiz. Remember www.menti.com. Okay, and the code, of course, 57539243. Okay, just paste that code and everyone should be able to get into the quiz room. I will give you like 5 more seconds to get into the quiz room. Remember, you can get easily in the quiz room from mobile. So just confirm to us whether you got into the quiz room, you are already in the quiz room, so we can start the quiz. The final 2 questions, which will show us our winners today. We will have 2 winners today. Okay. Okay, I think we can get on with the quiz. Is someone still waiting to get into the quiz room? Okay, I think we can continue now. So let's make sure. Okay. So question 3 out of 4 from our quiz today. Remember, guys, answer fast to get more points. Which StudioX activity can be used to display information to the user? Messenger pigeon, get text, or message box? Okay, most of you got that correctly. Someone is insisting on having fun with the answers. Yes, it's message box, correct. Let's go to the next one now to see the leaderboard. I think our top 3 are still there. So Nurain and Uday are the top 2. Isa is still closely behind. Let's see what happens with the next question. Which resource activity card can be used to automate UI applications? Use Excel file, Uno card, use application browser. This is something that takes you back to the beginning of the session, I think, but it's very easy. Great. Yes, it's correct. Use application browser is the resource you have to use in order to do UI automation. Okay, now let's see the final leaderboard and our 2 winners for the day. That changed. Congratulations, Isa, for managing that switch. Okay, so Uday and Isa are our winners today. Please, guys, give me in a direct message, not everyone, your email addresses so I can send you the UiPath vouchers that you won today. So congrats for that. And yes, now I think we can, I will allow you to unmute now. So I think we can go into a quick Q&A. So yes. Congratulations, Isa, as well, because Isa is a winner too, and she managed that swift change right on the 4th question.
Thank you, thank you.
Congrats. Okay, don't forget to direct message me your emails, please, Uday and Isa. Okay, so now who has, okay. Diraj, I see you have a question. Please unmute. Diraj, okay.
Hello.
Hello. I will ask Nidhi and Afe to switch on their cameras as well. So.
Hi, Dheeraj. We can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So what would you like to ask? Diraj.
To enter in the quiz. I want to play quiz. Actually, I missed earlier.
Sorry, Dheeraj, can you repeat the question? Sorry, I couldn't get you.
I also want to participate in the quiz.
The quiz is over now.
Oh,
quiz
okay.
is over.
We'll move to the next question.
We'll do a one
Okay.
session for the quiz only. I guess the people are very interested.
yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Ubaldan?
Hey guys. Yeah, so my question is on the when we click on something to click on, or rather choose on the application, sometimes there is no anchor that's being detected. won't that cause a problem down the line? For example, on the first example, we were able to anchor it on the dynamic fields. But for example, submit, what if the next iteration of the website, there's a cancel button instead? Won't that cause a problem, or would it still detect submit even though there was no anchor?
Yes, actually, it will still able to detect the the basic, I would say, the concept of the selectors, if you know, in the UI automation. So the UI path activities that we have used, even though click or the type into, they actually use three basic rules to identify elements on the screen. The first one is what you give them as the screenshot. So based on the image, it will identify. So it will not only check the selector or the value that you're actually giving them to identify. So it will check if it has the submit button written or not. Second,
Mhm.
it will check if the image matches or not, because when we saw, right, it is also capturing the screenshot, if you remember, right? And the
Mhm.
third thing is it do based on the fuzzy selector. It means even partial thing is being matched, it will help you to click on that. So these are the three combinations the UiPath StudioX activity uses. So the chances of failures are very, very less, even if you do not find any anchors on the screen. So it's like a combination of these three, and that gives you a more robust solution.
Okay, gotcha. In relation to that, sorry, another question. What if the when you click on a website, a pop-up window comes in? Will that recognize that pop-up window as part of that application, or do you have to specify that as another application?
You have to specify it as the other application, because now you want to attach with a new window, because use application browser is only able to identify a single a website or a web page or a window on the screen. So if you want to now connect with a new pop-up, you have to use again one more activity of use application browser, so that it can now attach with that and can perform the actions on that particular screen now.
Okay,
Otherwise it won't be able to connect. It would be able to identify, it would be there, but now if you want to perform the actions on that screen, you have to first attach it to it. So that's how you can actually follow.
gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
To add to what Nidia said, you can nest an application path inside another one. So you
Okay,
can
so
place a
just
use
connect
application
the.
browser correct inside another use application browser.
I have a
Okay.
question in this regard, if I can ask now.
Okay, Letitia.
Yes,
Sure.
if I did it once and I was in a loop, I have to repeat this pop-up and so entry mask many times, but the windows keep opened. How can I prevent not to have too many windows open, because I need to repeat this the same for different rows in an Excel table? It's not. I think
Okay.
it could affect the performance if so many windows are still remained opened during the execution.
If I get what you're saying correctly, Letitia, let's take the example of the RPA challenge. So you have an Excel file of data and you want to input that information onto that website multiple times. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, because this is in one window. Everything happens in the same window. My example is if you have a pop-up in this during these steps. So, and this pop-up, you have to insert some information in a field and then come back to the main window, do something there, and then again for the next person, next use case, do the same. But the pop-up window before keeps in the background, and it will open a new one. And so if I have 100 rows which I have to manage, I will have 100 pop-up windows opened in the background. And this is not, I think this is not best case, a good practice.
Okay, I think I understand what you're trying to say. So for the use application or browser or window, I think you can choose to close it. So do you want me to share my screen and show you? Let me share my screen for you too. Okay, so this is, I'm going to drag it all over again so that you see. Okay, so this is the use application browser. So you'll have a pop-up. So let's say this is the first window, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm working on adding activities right here, I get a pop-up at a particular point. So based on what Udvadi was asking just now, I can do this and attach this to that pop-up like Nidhi suggested. You do whatever you need to do. So let's assume I have another pop-up just for this demo. I'll just click on this again. So I have nested this resource inside the first one. So when I'm done with this, if I expand this, go to properties on your right, you're going to see close as an option. Now, when it is done, you should always close it. Once you select that, it will close that pop-up. If it comes again, it closes. Every time it comes up, the bot will close it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. I didn't know about this property.
Yeah, you can do that.
Which activity? Okay. Is that a property of the use browser application?
Yes. Yes. Every activity has properties. You can select them and see. So most of what you see on the properties are already on the card, but some are not. So for instance, this I showed you, the close is not on the card, as you can see, but you can access it from your properties. Close it, determine whether it should never close or always close, should be opened by that browser. You can also determine its open state, that it should never open. So it only looks for what is already open, or it should open if it's not already open, or it should always open. So you have those options to play with.
My problem is I am using an old version of the StudioX because my company has not updated yet to the new version because the old one is more stable. So we will get an update in September, but in the version I am using, I don't know if I have too many options in the properties. Do you know that? I am using the version 2020.
I can say, can you check and respond to this on the StudioX thread so that they can. I don't have that version, but you can check. Yes, properties has always existed in StudioX from the beginning. So just check whether the property of your use application browser card has this. And then if it has or not, you can tell us on the StudioX thread. This. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Nadim already uploaded Nidhi's exercise files on the StudioX thread, so you can download it from there if your organization doesn't allow you to use Google Drive.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will check with my IT team.
Okay.
And I have already video StudioX, Studio. I can jump that to StudioX, right?
Yes, Nadim, you can jump anytime, yeah.
Okay.
It just restarts your studio, but you can switch the profiles anytime.
But I have already working on some project. Is it any effect to my existing project when I move from Studio to StudioX?
No, Nadim, if you're working on a UiPath Studio project, and if you have saved it and then you switch to StudioX profile and then you work on a StudioX project, they both will be saved.
Okay, means I can proceed that what the project I am working on Studio, I can take that same project to StudioX, right?
They both are not compatible. If you want to open a StudioX project in a studio, that will not be possible. Studio has the inbuilt StudioX activities if you want to use. So if the question is that you can open a StudioX project in a UiPath Studio, the answer would be no, I guess.
Okay, then it will be good. I should be stay in studio because my project is almost done.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, any more questions, guys? For Nidhi or Rafael?
Joe is saying something. Is there a keyboard shortcut to stop a program running if there's a problem? Yeah, just click on your taskbar to open Studio, and then your run button would be showing stop. You can click on the red stop button and it'll stop the automation.
Okay, guys, I'm going to paste again the sessions, the links for session 2 and 3 and 4, and also the link to the forum thread, since I think that is very relevant for you now. So please make sure you register for the upcoming sessions, since at the end we will have a quiz from the entire 4 sessions. So if you want to participate in the end of the program quiz and get a diploma, you should be registered for all 4 sessions. Okay, and this is the link to the forum thread where you will find help and us to support you and also your peers. So if you plan on doing the exercises this weekend or have questions from the session today or need other resources, just use this forum thread, please, so we can follow you up there and also give you like academy resources to help you further. So make sure that all of you have got the links I just shared in the chat. Okay, since you have session 3, session 4 there, and the forum thread. So thank you everyone for today, for joining our session. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad that most of you managed to do the automations, and I think you enjoyed it too.
Can we take a screenshot?
Yeah, so please turn on your cameras, those who want to participate in the screenshot, in the gallery screenshot for the session 2. Since you know us, how you do. Okay. Anyone else wants to switch on their cameras? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for participating today. Thank you, Nidhi, for being a wonderful trainer. Thank you, Afe, for helping so much. So, from next session onwards, we will have different trainers. I know you're already familiar with Nidhi and Afe, so we're going to have a switch. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy the next trainers as well. And let us know on forum how we did, what you would like us to do better, what resources you need, or what other challenges you find on your. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, wish you the same.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Have a great weekend. Bye.